Hello friends. So yesterday we had an introduction to Sir Philip Sidney's An Apology for Poetry, published in 1895. It was a rejoinder to Stephen Gosson's School of Abuse, 1579, and 1581 he wrote this, but it was published in 1585. So after introduction we can see how he begins this, very playful. The subject is very serious, but the father of English literary criticism, the first ever poet critic to do this in English literature. And then we find that he begins it with a very playful way. You must have read Raymond Williams' Culture is Ordinary. How does it begin? It begins at the bus stop. Very serious topic he is discussing, but bus stop and cathedral and library and all those. Like this. It says, the beginning is like this. It's a rhetorical device to attract people to listen. It's an anecdote. He gives an anecdote. I said that myself, that is Philip Sidney, and Sir Edward Wharton, another officer in the King's Court, Sir Philip Sidney and Sir Edward Wharton, we were together in the Emperor's Court. And then we met a person, a soldier and a horseman, not a single one, but a soldier and a horseman. His name is Pietro Pugliano. So he met him. He was a horseman and also a soldier. And he said, you know, soldiers are the best, the noblest estate of mankind. So soldiers are the noblest estate of mankind, because he was a soldier in defending. Then he said that horsemen are the noblest of soldiers. So two differences now, isn't it? And then again he said, soldiers are masters of war and ornaments of peace. Further he said, horse is the soldier. Horse is the best of the beasts, the best. A peerless beast, that's what he said, peerless. Horse is the peerless beast. And then Sir Philip Sidney, he writes, he said, oh, when I heard the description of this peerless beast, that is the horse, I wish I were a horse. He said that I wish I could become a horse, because that much praise he is lavishing upon the peerless beast, that is horse. Suddenly a thought came to his mind. And he did not stop there. He said that, what is government? Pugliano said, what is government? It is just a pedanteria. Pedanteria, he said. Pedanteria. What is pedanteria? It's Latin. Sorry, Italian, pedanteria. That means it's pedantry, bookish knowledge. Anybody who reads something about government and politics can become a ruler. It's nothing. So he belittles everything other than soldier, horsemanship, and the horse. Peerless beast. So then suddenly what happened, you know? He was a learned man, Sir Philip Sidney. A thought came to his mind. He thought, oh, what a thing. Poor poetry, there's no one to defend. Poetry, there's no one to defend. And then again he said, it has become the laughing stock of children. And even people are now using names of great philosophers like Plato to deface poetry. Then he thought this is moral responsibility, see that, to defend poor poetry. This poet haters and poet whippers, yesterday we used these terms. So it's high time to defend poetry, apology or poetry. It's like when before Milton, when Milton started writing Lycidas, he said, no, you remember Lycidas? Bitter, constrained and sad occasion dear compels me. Bitter, constrained and sad occasion dear compels me. Otherwise I would not have written Lycidas now. My dear friend, my college mate, class fellow is dead, untimely death. Like that here, poetry is left, nobody to defend. And even they are using the names of great philosophers like Plato to deface, to put down poetry. So he says, it is high time that I rise up and speak. And then what did he say? Poetry is the first life giver to ignorance. That's what he said. This is his defense. This is, as I told you, this is a rhetorical device to introduce a very serious subject in a very playful way. So he says, first, poetry is the first light, says. First light giver to ignorance. Isn't it? When you go, you might have experienced that. When you first went to the nursery school, LKG, UKG and so on, holding your father or mother's hands and with a small bag and some biscuit snacks and so on. What did the nursery teacher first teach you? Play school, then teaching rhymes. Isn't it? Not philosophy. There is no nursery philosophy, there is no nursery economics, or there is no nursery politics, but there are nursery rhymes. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Ba, ba, black sheep. You remember those things? You remember that? Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jim came tumbling after. And you go on repeating like this. So some idea you're getting about life. There is Jack and Jim. There is a sheep. So the first light giver to ignorance. Or when it's twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Or again, 1 foot up and 1 foot down, that is the way to London town. So later on you will understand it contains very profound knowledge. What is that profound knowledge? To achieve anything in this world, you should have the first step. And the Chinese proverb says, 1,000 miles journey begins with the first step. Instead of giving you philosophically this, your life is like this, you have to start something, 1 foot up and 1 foot down, that is the way to London town. Johnny, yeah, papa. You remember that? Yes? Eating sugar, no, papa. So the child comes to know there is sugar, you can eat it. So the first light giver to ignorance. That's what he says. And he says that is the first nurse. The first. And again, from that rhyme, slowly you develop to understand or read and understand T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland. April is the coolest month. That is the life. So from rhyme to, nursery rhymes to the wasteland. That is the journey. So the first one. Understand? Then he says that is the first nurse. First nurse. Poetry is the first nurse. First nurse. You know, that is, and then whose milk by little and little. The nurse gives you, feeding bottle, little and little. That is a metaphor. Enable you to feed afterwards to tougher knowledges. That's the thing. So, like milk, the nurse feeds you milk. After some time you can eat. But chicken, what chicken? I don't know. Chicken pulao, is there biryani? Tough food. So that's a metaphor, really. Beautiful language. Little by little, what you can understand, enable them to feed afterwards to tougher knowledges. Just like eating. You start with the not solid food. Finally you can eat chicken. There is a chicken, so you can see that advertisement. I don't know, I forgot the name of the advertisement, that name of chicken, that dish, name of dish. So such tough things. You can use a whole chicken, fried, tandoori, and all those things. But start with the milk. And who gives you milk? That is the nurse. So poetry gives you milk. That's the thing. And then he says, if you attack poetry after this, that is, poetry is the first light giver to ignorance, first nurse that feeds you milk to take tougher food later. Poetry is tamasoma jyotirgame, from darkness to light. The first light giver from darkness to light. And that is poetry. Defense, strong defense. And then he says, learned Greece. You have learned Greece. And before that he says another thing. He says, these people are ungrateful. These poet haters, poet weepers, those who find for criticize poets like Stephen Gosson and his company, they are like hedgehogs. That's very interesting. Hedgehogs or vipers. Vipers. Why? You know what is the quality of a hedgehog? If somebody accepts him as a guest in his cave, after some time he will push out the host. How grateful is he? Hedgehog is a very grateful creature. If you give some place of residence, he will throw you out first. Then vipers, they kill their parents. So it is like that. You poet haters, you poet weepers, if you are criticizing without any reason poetry, the defenseless poetry, the poor poetry, whom you have defaced, it is just like the behavior of a hedgehog or a behavior of a viper. That is what it is. Clear? So in the defense he says, the first light to ignorance and the first nurse that feeds you milk. Understand? And then he says, take the example of learned Greece. You take the example of Greece, example of Rome, example of which was the other, Italy, Rome, same, Italy, Rome, Italy. Then you take the example of England. What do you find? The first writers, they were poets. He says, for example, you have got the first writers were poet, Zeus, Greece. Zeus, Homer, and Hesiod. They were Greek poets. Homer, they were Greek poets. And then when we see before them, in myths you have heard of Orpheus, Amphion, Orpheus, charming sweetness of Orpheus, Amphion, isn't it? Amphion, it is said that he moved stones to build the city of Thebes. That's the thing. See that Amphion and Orpheus. Understand? Amphion and Linus. There's charming sweetness. All poets. Charming sweetness of these mythical characters. But even then, Orpheus, he compelled the beast to listen to him. His music was so sweet. Poets. Understand? When you come to Italy, you have Italy. Italy, you have Dante, Boccaccio, isn't it? Famous Decameron, Boccaccio, Dante, Divine Comedy. See? And then you have Ennuis, Ennuis. These are Romans, all poets. Understand? So the superiority of poets. Poetry is so ancient than all the other muses. That's why, he is afraid, it's a bitter constraint and what he said, sad vocation, dear Milton said. So here he says, I am forced to defend poetry because there may be a war between muses, poetry and philosophy, if I don't intervene like an umpire. So it is my duty, my moral duty to defend poetry. And he says, and then he says, poetry is the first light giver to ignorance. Poetry is the first nurse. And then he takes examples in Greece. All those great. Plato was a poet. He put the mask of a poet and wrote philosophy. Greece. Understand? Pythagoras sang his moral counsels in poetry, in verse. So, all this great, Italy, you have this. And then you have in Rome, Livius Andronicus. Livius Andronicus. They are poets, Livius Andronicus. See that? Then you have Greece, I have already told you about this, then charming sweetness. England, you have Chaucer and Go. Sorry. First write this. So he gives examples like this. Thus he makes an attempt, that is solid attempt, very strong attempt to defend poetry. But remember, that's a rhetorical device he uses, meeting with Edward Watt, as himself and Edward Watt meeting Pietro Pugliano, the horseman, the soldier, and how strongly and vigorously and vehemently he defends horsemanship, then soldier, the profession of a soldier. So, and he compares it with the government. This is pedantry, that is pedantry. What is it after? And then he thought of the poor poetry has nobody to defend. And also he thought there may be war between muses of poetry and philosophy, because these people say philosophy is more important than poetry. So he said that, look, if you are attacking poetry, you are like a hedgehog or you are like a viper. And then he gives out reasons, arguments, one after another, like a lawyer. So if poetry is the first light giver to ignorance, poetry is the first nurse who feeds you milk, sweet milk, little by little, so that you can later take solid food. And then he gives examples of learned Greece, Rome, citadels of knowledge those days. Civilization, cradles of civilization. Rome, Greece, Italy. And then takes examples from mythology. Amphion, who moved stones to build the city of Thebes. And then he showed Orpheus. Another example he gives, where even the beasts, they were standing and listening to the sweet music of Orpheus. So great philosophers, they put on the mask of poets. Pythagoras, Empedocles. So all these people, they put on the mask of poets. So poetry in God created world, in this God created civilized world, where civilization began, you will find the first writers were poets. So strong difference. So we can be very proud of his arguments, and are very extremely systematic. In the last class I told you, it's a compendium of knowledge, encyclopedic range. How many authors know? He must have read these people. Their poems he must have read. Their philosophy he must have read. History they must have read. Only then you can sit on judgment on these people, or these authors, or this situation. So that's what I said. Even if you are all students, even if you are not a student, if you miss reading an apology for poetry by Philip Sidney, you have missed half of your life by